Hello, welcome back. We have our Elixir Kitchen team ready for another cooking and nutrition demo. Stephanie Gladman, as always, a registered dietitian, joining us here on the line. You can see her, and Christine Collins from Kidney Cancer Canada. So, if you are tuning in from the Community Connections event, Christine Collins and Kidney Cancer Canada provided some amazing presentations that you
Thanks.
can check out on our recording. Christine, thank you again for joining us. And I know you have some information to share right off the top before we start.
I do. I just wanted to remind anybody that didn't tune into the first section, we are having our Kidney Cancer Forum, our National Patient and Caregiver Forum this Sunday, November the 25th. It starts, because it's national, it's kind of in the middle of the day, so we make it easy for the West Coast and for the East Coast. And it runs from about 11 till 4. It's jam-packed with information. We have presentations from specialists, kidney cancer specialists from across Canada. And we start from diagnosis through all the multiple different types of treatments, right through to if you need oncology treatments. And we also have some nice patient connections within the day as well. So I think you'll find a wealth of information and it will certainly answer your questions. So please join us. All you have to do is go to our website, kidneycancercanada.ca. There'll be a nice big banner across the top that says National Forum, and it has a register button right in the middle. Just click that register button and fill in your information, and you'll be sent a special invitation. So I truly hope that if you're a kidney cancer patient or caregiver, or if you know somebody, please share the info. It will be definitely worth their while. So once again, kidneycancercanada.ca, and just register for our national forum this Sunday, November 25th. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Christine. Absolutely. So we are going to get started.
Yep.
Jeremy, I'm the wellness chef here, if this is your first time, and we have some delicious recipes in store. Stephanie.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Steph Gladman, the registered dietitian here. So today's topic is really focusing on that mindful eating piece. So similar to kind of the earlier presentations, focusing on meditation and mindfulness as a way to cope with different types of stressors. And of course, during cancer treatment or after, I always say that any type of stress or the way that somebody coped with stress before a treatment or a diagnosis, it's kind of amplified. And the way that, your stresses come about or anxiety sometimes could be a little bit higher during this time. Couple that with the holidays coming up, so just general things going on. So we wanted to bring a little bit we wanted to bring a little bit of mindfulness to our eating and cooking experience. And so whether you're a caregiver or you're someone who is going through the experience of a diagnosis, treatment, and even after, it can be quite stressful, and bringing some of that attention and mindfulness to the way you eat and prepare food we can bring some of those tools and techniques that we learned earlier with breath work and mindful movement into the eating experience. So whether you're somebody who has side effects such as taste changes or low energy, or maybe your appetite has increased or decreased, these tools of eating mindfully can actually help and go a really long way. So I wanted to start off by kind of just sharing a little bit of information about the research that goes on from a psychological point of view with eating and food and our experience with it. So I always ask the question of, what are the different types of hunger? Why do you eat? So you could type that in the chat box and kind of just blur out some reasons as to why people eat. And I'll go in I know we can't really interact too much, but please send in your comments. And kind of just thinking in that vein, there's actually 7 different types of hunger. Okay, so we don't only eat, I mean, the natural and the most instinctual is, well, I'm hungry, right? So your stomach is growling, right? So that's known as the stomach hunger. But we got 6 other ones. So we eat not only because our body kind of needs that energy, that fuel, but also, we see food and we want to eat, right? So we eat with our eyes. You might walk into a movie theater and smell popcorn, or, walk by that Cinnabon station and smell the food. So we eat with our noses. You might want a mouth feel, right? So we eat because you like creamy or salty or crunchy. We also eat for celebrations, or sometimes, because we're coping with stress. So that's more around that emotional part of it, right? The heart hunger. And sometimes we eat because, we have this story in our head. Well, I just worked out and I should eat, or, I should have my vegetables. Right? Nothing is right nor wrong. And when we bring the attention to the way that we eat, like we discussed earlier, kind of that idea around mindfulness, it's this attention without judgment to the experience that we're having. And then the last one is really around, I think I said 7. All right. So using these tips and tools and techniques, we're going to bring this into the different recipes that we're eating today. So I'll hand it off to you, Jared, to get us started based on these principles of our first recipe.
Thank you, Steph. I was just sampling one of the pears in the middle of that, but we are starting off with our first recipe, which is a salad, but I wanted to really focus on one of the hungers that you talked about, and was it the seeing, the eye hunger? So visually, I mean, you can say that we eat with our eyes, right? If we use some of those very vibrant ingredients and colors that you can see in lots of different fruits and vegetables, it can be really, really pleasing to the palate. It might even be able to help stimulate appetite just from the visual appearance. So what I want to do is make a very nice, bright, colorful salad using some of the more seasonal ingredients that are available now. And the first thing that comes to mind to me are beets. I mean, in terms of color, I don't think you can argue that these are, not one of the more colorful ingredients out there. And these are just like your red beets, but you have golden beets, you have these striped candy cane pink beets, super, super vibrant, super, super colorful. And I think they not only provide a lot of flavor, they're obviously probably a very nutritious ingredient as well, but in terms of the eye candy, that eye hunger, for sure, it does provide a lot on the plate. So very simply, we're gonna just grate some up, and you can use a cheese grater for that, just to run it through. If you have a food processor with one of those attachments, those grating attachments, that works really, really well with beets. You can even buy them frozen. I've seen them frozen already shredded. That takes out a lot of the work for you. Even canned, I mean, you can find canned beets shredded as well. So like drained and rinsed, and that makes the process and the prep a lot easier. Whatever way you want, whatever color of beet you want, go ahead and shred a couple cups of that. Of that. And I'm just going to bring the screen down so you can see our cutting board here. So I'm going to add a couple cups of shredded beet. Anytime you're working with beet, especially red beet, obviously be mindful that it's going to dye your hands and your cutting board and anything it touches. You can wash, it's not permanent, you can wash it off obviously, but if you did want to use like gloves, like kitchen gloves or something like that, you can go ahead and do that before. But as you can see, there's really, really nice vibrant purple shreds in there. And then another ingredient that really reminds me of this sort of end of fall, early winter, more cold weather produce is pears. Now they're obviously not like seasonal. Nothing much is seasonal right now in Canada, but these are more of the later seasonal vegetables and fruits that last a lot longer during those colder months. They provide a really nice texture as well, and that sort of lime green, light green, white color is going to play really nice off of the red beet. So you can go ahead and just roughly slice up some of the pear. In terms of the pear that you use, it's completely up to you. Again, I like to go with a crunchier pear. So a Bosc is good, a Bartlett is good.
Yeah, and I just kind of emphasize here, we have the eating with our eyes kind of technique, right? So you might be like, I don't know, scrolling Instagram or on Facebook or watching TV and see an ad, and you might have just finished your lunch or your dinner or whatever. You're not hungry, but you see this beautiful, art of food, and all of a sudden you're like, maybe I want that. So again, whether you're looking to lose weight or gain weight, use that ability, that eyesight to your advantage, right? So for someone who has a low appetite, right, and they can't really eat that much, making something that really presents with lots of color could literally physically stimulate that appetite. And if you're someone who needs to, on the other side, you're looking to manage your weight or lose weight, well, having something really beautiful and taking time to prepare that is going to really have an appreciation for that, and might kind of make you go a little bit slower. Maybe you won't eat as much, right? So it's all these different techniques that you could really use for your advantage. And again, when we're talking about vegetables and fruit, those different colors are a clue to the different antioxidants that you are getting in your body. Okay, so for beets, for example, that purple vibrant color, those are anthocyanins. You've got the yellow or the white from the pear that's giving you other types of antioxidants. And so there's so many of them. And for me personally, I think, I see a lot of clients who get stressed and worried that, I'm not getting lycopene, or I'm not getting. Let that go, put that aside, focus on the colors, right? And just making sure, like, are you somebody who only uses white or green vegetables and fruit, right? And can you pivot to incorporate a little bit more purples or yellows or whatever into your repertoire? And it's really easy. Go to the grocery store, be inspired by all the different colors, because that's something that could, change your way of eating and experiences with food.
Beautiful. Okay, so I have some sliced pear and our shredded beet in a bowl here. And this is where, if you want to add some heartier greens, you can definitely do that. So like arugula would hold up really well in something like this, or choose some of those, we call them like winter greens, some of those colder month greens. So anything in that sort of radicchio family, or like these endives are really nice as well. Those are like thicker, more robust lettuce leaves or greens, and that also have their own unique color, right? You have this like beautiful purple from the radicchio, this sort of yellowish white from the endive, but also the texture. It's a little on the crunchier side, so it's going to hold up well beside the beets and the pear, and it's also going to provide this almost like slight bitterness as well, which will work with the sweetness that you're going to get from the beets and the pear. So these are just optional. Again, not saying to use all the winter greens you can find, but if there's one that you do enjoy, absolutely feel free to throw that in. We're also adding a lot more color to this as well. So we have some winter greens, pear, beet. Those are all our ingredients for the actual salad. Now we want to make a really nice, flavorful dressing, okay? This needs to hold up to all of that flavor in in our sort of mix or salad mix here. So we want to make something a little bit punchier. And I usually go to orange. I love orange and beet. I love orange and winter greens. I think it plays really, really well. Sort of reminds me of the, holidays up and coming. It's already here. It's kind of scary, but it's all right. We're going to use the outside first, a little bit of zest from this clementine. And that's going to bring some really nice, intense orange or clementine flavor. And I'm going to do 2 because I have a pretty big bowl of salad here. It's also going to provide these really nice kind of little flecks of orange in the mix. So again, going back to that presentation, back to that, eating with our eyes. Really, really nice color there. All right, and the juice. I'm gonna go. Let's see, these are really juicy. I'm gonna go with both. I'm gonna make a nice dressing, and you can always save your dressing. If you have extra dressing, throw it in a mason jar, put it into the fridge. That's good for a few days.
Yeah. And the other thing is for people who, might have some mouth sores, this is something that's common during treatment or so that citrus is something probably you don't want to add in this situation. However, the skin, that zest is still okay, right? So again, just kind of tweaking the, the recipe, and instead you could use water for liquid or maybe some oil, like add up the oil. There's lots of, different ways that you can work around those mouth sores if you're experiencing them.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have our orange, or clementine rather, juice and zest. I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar to this too, just to make it, again, a little bit punchier. So maybe just like a couple teaspoons of red wine vinegar to this, because the acidity from the clementine is not that intense. It's pretty mild. You're going to get a lot of sweetness from it. So I do want something a little more acidic for this salad. And you know what? We'll throw some mustard in here as well. I think mustard has just a really nice punchy flavor. Works really, really well in dressings. And it's going to hold up well against our beets and our pear. We have a clementine. We have a little bit of red wine vinegar, a little bit of mustard, and we're going to balance that all out with some olive oil. So you can go about.
That's so good that you're mixing while you're pouring. I don't tend to do that.
Well, take your time. I'm spilling half of it on the table, so if it helps to add first and then mix later. I actually find if you throw this all into a mason jar,
and just pick it up.
That's a nice clean way to do it as well.
Good.
All right, so we have this really, really super flavorful dressing, and I went about 1-to-1 with the oil and the citrus and the vinegar. If you like it a little more acidic, then taste as you go, and you can sort of balance it out as you need, and you can add less oil. Or if you like it less acidic, then you can add more. And then just adding just a small pinch of salt. You don't need too much here. And there's our dressing. And I'm going to throw it on to our greens. I'm going to go with most of it.
And I really like when we use fruit in a salad, right? It kind of gives that punch of sweetness, which is really, really nice. So those pears, especially in the fall, winter, are a really good way to, and also, I mean, could be crunchy too, right? But it's a really nice way to kind of dress things up. And of course, you could add more greens if you wanted. Those endives, like we said, are more of a seasonal winter type of vegetable. But this is really nice. And I think that, in terms of a purple vegetable, purple things, we don't tend to eat a lot of them. So, it's just a fun way of using different colors to, again, boost up those antioxidants in your body. Of course, any vegetable and fruit will have that vitamin A, vitamin C, which is really important, especially during this time, to help support your immune system.
All right. So, like I said, the beets are going to turn almost everything purple and vibrant pink, but it is definitely a salad that is going to stand out. So I'm just going to go ahead and plate some of this. We'll throw some of the pears. Make sure if you threw any of those endives, that on top. Some of that shredded beet. And this is, I mean, it's a salad that has a lot going on. There's definitely a lot more texture, a lot more flavor here, which I think is just perfect for a winter type salad. And that is pretty much it. I'm gonna do my last thing and top it with some toasted walnuts to provide just a little bit more crunch and texture. And that is our beet and pear winter salad.